G'day and welcome to the AviSyst tutorial on a passenger manifest sheet. We're going to start here at the home page on the master sheet and we're going to select passenger manifest sheet here, click on it and follow the link. That'll open up in the manifest page. So we'll quickly go through the tabs down the bottom here. So you can see we've got the aircraft that are in the system, each have their own tab with the date next to it, should be today's date. The summary sheet here just has a summary of the flights that have been done, passengers, number of flights, what flights, and a breakdown of the costings and takings. That's all emailed to the pilot and people at the end of the day. So nothing you can alter here, just for looking at. Flights here show the list of flights and departure points that are in the list already. You can add items here if you want, or you can actually do that while you're filling out the manifest sheet. You can also remove items from here if you don't want to use them anymore or have them in the list. So as an example, we can remove charter out of here and we'll see that it will actually be gone in the drop down lists when I show you that in a second. The next one is the aircraft weights. Don't really need to do anything here unless it's a new aircraft being added, in which case you might need to fill in the basic empty weight of the aircraft, and there's a warning in the manifest sheet telling you that that figure is missing. If you don't get any warnings, you don't really need to adjust anything in this sheet. So back to the manifest sheet. We're going to start here and we're going to use BHF today as the example. So I'm going to go through each part of the manifest sheet here and give you a description of what each section is and does. So we'll start over on the left hand side and you've got your flight numbers just over here, 1, 2, 3. And as you go down, it goes down to number 10. When you get to flight 7 and fill that one out, it will automatically add 3 more flights down the bottom here. So 11, 12, 13. And when you get to 3 from them, it will add 3 more and so on. So you won't run out of sheets during the day. So the flight box up at the top left-hand side here is pretty self-explanatory. You click on it, choose from the drop-down list the flight you want to choose. If an item isn't in this list already, click on the keyboard and you can enter in a new item. So let's just enter in a new one here, 30-min flight, and that will add it to the list from now on. Once you've chosen that, the status bar up the top here will start telling you that things are missing. So at the very top is your status bar, and it's telling us that the estimated departure time is blank for flight 1. So estimated departure time here, highlighted in red to let you know it's missing. Click on it and enter in the time in 24-hour format. You don't need to put the colons in. You can just type in the time and it will reformat that into the correct time format when you have completed the rest of the stage. So moving across, it's now telling us the departure point is missing. This will only happen for the first flight. After the first flight, we'll actually copy down the departure and destination points to the next flight. It will just assume that you are going to take off at the destination for the previous flight. You can update them as you wish, and like with the flights, it's a drop-down list. You can choose from a flight from a place that's already in there, or you can enter in a new place, and that will be added into the lists for the future. So let's just put in here Fred's house is where we landed on that one. So it's going to tell us things like the pilot weight is now missing. So we'll put that in. That again is copied down to the next flight. So if it's the same pilot flying each time, that will just copy down. You only need to update that if the pilot changes. Okay, now it's telling us the passenger name is missing in flight 1. So we'll click on and add a passenger name in here. Just do that. These don't need to be in any particular order. You can put the passenger names in at whatever seat you want. So you can split them up. You can have them all at the bottom, all at the top. It doesn't really matter. We'll put another one in here. Passenger weight it's asking for. And one here will ask for a weight for each person. So that's a little kid. It will ask to see that they have been briefed. And then it will ask for a cost. So we don't need to put the cost against each person. You don't have to have a cost, for example, on this row and on this row. You can just have one cost for the entire flight anywhere in there. So you could put it at the bottom if you wanted, or you could have it split up between the two. So let's say this was being paid for together. We can just put, say, $100 down here, and the payment method was cash. Once that's all done, it will check everything. It will check the maximum all-up weight and the fuel that's in the current DFR, and if it's all okay, it will give us a passed indication just down here. If this fails because the weight is too high, it will say failed, and the status bar at the top there will tell you how much the maximum all-up weight has been exceeded by. So with this maximum all-up weight, it does automatically get the fuel from the aircraft's DFR. Now bear in mind that could be out of date. If the aircraft has flown for an hour already and hasn't got fuel in that time, this fuel up here is probably going to be the fuel that was put in it when it started the flight, and that will be entered into this for each stage and going down. If that's the case, and this fuel here means that the all-up weight has been exceeded, you can simply change that and it won't be overridden. So say it now burned off quite a bit of fuel and there's only 200 litres there. You can put 200 in, it will redo the all-up weight check and tell us that everything's okay. As an example of what happens when the weight is too high, say we accidentally put in here that this person is 2,000 kilograms instead of 200, it will give us a warning, and there we go, status bar at the top. It's telling us the maximum all-up weight has been exceeded by 1,635 kilograms in flight 1. So telling you that something's wrong. We'll go and change that back to 20, and it will recalculate it, and it should give us that the flight is okay. So this status bar at the very top tells us that all the stages are correct, and the status bar for each individual flight, which is this one here and the flight number, tell us that that stage or that flight is correct. So if we move on to the next one and we click onto the flights here and we go to the drop down list, first of all you'll see that the 30-minute flight has now been added to that list. So we can choose that again, or we can choose a different one. Let's just choose 5 minutes this time. And now it will start going through that check-in process again. So we can just work through from left to right. And we say this one took off at 10:30. We'll just put in one person of Terry, and he is 80 kilograms. He's been briefed. He is going to be paying with a gift certificate, so we don't need to take any money off him. And you can see now that it's automatically copied down the departure point and destination point from above. So it assumes that you take off from the previous destination point and you also land at the same departure point. Quite often for scenic flights that's going to be correct, but you can change that if need be. It's done the check of the maximum all-up weight, and you can see that everything is now green. So as an example, if we bumped flight 1 and we accidentally unticked Jane, who had been briefed, it will now tell us that stage 1 is not complete. You can see the red around stage 1, whereas number 2 is still green, and the status bar at the very top is telling us that the briefing for passenger 5 has not been completed. So if we tick that again, it will then give us a green all over the manifest and tell us that everything is okay. So I'll just go into a little bit more detail about the fuel. It comes from the DFR, as I said. So you can actually click on a link to the DFR to see what's going on just up here. Click on the aircraft's name and that will take you to the aircraft's live DFR. And you can see at the top here, the last fuel that was entered is this one here, 350 litres. This helicopter has done 7 flights since then, so that fuel is probably going to be a bit lighter. So as an example, if I was to click on the fuel here and just reduce that down to 100, for example, and then we go back to the manifest, which can be got to by clicking on any of these passenger names here, and the link will take us back to the DFR. And as we start to fill out the next stage, we'll do another 5-minute flight here, and we'll just very quickly fill this out. So now we'll see up the top here and the fuel quantity, it's put in that 100 litres there, and at the very top here it's telling you what the last fuel on the DFR was. So really that's the basics for filling out the manifest. You just go through and fill out what you think is required, and if you're missing anything, that status bar at the top will tell you that something is missing. So one situation that can occur if it's a new aircraft that's been added to the system is this basic empty weight might not be filled out yet. If that's the case, then you're going to get a warning in the system that it's missing. So if we just trigger a change here, you'll notice it will come up and tell us that it's missing and that the manifest is okay to close. All the information's in there, but the orange warning on all of these things tell you that the max all up weight is not done. And at the very top here, the status bar tells you the missing info in the aircraft weight sheet. So very easy to fix that. You just go across to the aircraft weight sheet at the bottom here and type in the number. Type that in, go back to the aircraft sheet, and it will have a look through and check, and you can tell now that it's come up with passed again, giving us the green light, and everything is okay to go. As I said, that will only really happen when an aircraft's initially been added to the system. When you've done that once, you shouldn't need to do it again. So once you're finished with the manifest, you can manually close it and send the admins an email to let them know, which will summarize it for them, and it will put all the information into the database. So to do that, you just click on the passenger manifest name at the top here, and that will open up a link. Follow that link and you can close the manifest for a certain aircraft on a certain date. So you can choose the registration, choose today's date and hit submit. That's not really required very often because this manifest will get closed once the aircraft's DFR is closed. That will automatically trigger this one to close, and it will replace today's one with a sheet for tomorrow, and you'll be able to go ahead and use that when you start work the next day. So that's a summary of the manifest sheet. If you've got any questions, talk to your admin or get in contact with me at AviSyst and I can help you out. Really, it's just a case of filling it out as you think, and if you've got something wrong or something's missing, it will tell you at the status bar at the top right hand side. Thanks, and I hope you enjoy using it.